Hi, I'm Alexander Winter.
And I'm Bogdana Rakova.
Today we're presenting a paper on leveraging traditional ecological knowledge and ecosystem restoration projects utilizing machine learning. Indigenous peoples and local communities play a crucial role in stewarding and safeguarding the world's lands and forests. A 2019 report issued by the IPCC recommends securing indigenous land ownership rights as critical to solving the climate crisis. In 2018, UN guidelines for working with indigenous peoples emphasized the need for the participation of indigenous communities in framing pilot projects, as well as the need for cultural and economic sustainability for each project. The UN General Assembly has proclaimed the 2020s to be the decade of ecosystem restoration. We start by questioning if restoration is the conceptual framework that could unlock the biggest potential positive impact. In restoration implies a return to a reconstructed past. Associations are structural and they do not necessarily reflect the dynamic realities of evolving ecosystems. The approach focuses on planting trees, often few selected species, leading to vulnerable plantation forests. In the long term, we need to be thinking in systems for a regenerative approach. And regeneration offers that. It presents a systems thinking approach towards self-sufficiency by compounding effects of various plant and animal forms to enhance resiliency and adaptability of a system and maximize biodiversity. The knowledge practice belief complex makes sense of traditional ecological knowledge as 4 interrelated levels of ecosystem management. Local knowledge includes animals, plants, solids, and landscapes. Resource management includes local environmental knowledge, practices, tools. Organizing has to do with community and social, which is cooperation, coordination, and governance, and worldviews contain ethics and belief systems. The hope here is that a more comprehensive understanding of forest ecology could inform machine learning applications. Let's consider a few examples from the field of agroforestry. Agroforestry is any sustainable land use system that maintains or increases total yields by combining food crops with tree crops. The Maya milpa, for example, is a swidden, a shifting cultivation system. Swiddens are areas of land which are cleared for cultivation by slashing or burning vegetation. Possibly the oldest form of farming in the Americas, swiddens are often blamed for deforestation when in fact they're actually helping conservation. In the foothills of Africa's highest mountain, Kilimanjaro, the Chaga take care of the Kihamba forest gardens, involving the management of multi-purpose trees and shrubs in symbiosis with annual and perennial agricultural crops and livestock. The Kayapo in the Amazon basin have been protecting one of the largest tropical forests on Earth. The Kayapo's use of fire in agriculture successfully works as a soil fertilizer and stimulates forest regeneration. In the last 30 years, the forested land of the Kayapo has been continuously disrupted by logging and mining operations.
There has been a growing interest in the intersection of data science, machine learning, and sustainability. In relation to forest restoration efforts, computer vision is being used to determine forest carbon sequestration potential, as well as for doing land topography and soil condition extraction that can be combined with satellite data and analyzed to determine the best locations to plant each seed using drone technology. Machine learning on satellite and drone image data is being used to determine, detecting, and mapping selective logging, high-resolution land cover mapping, and predicting forest wildfire spread. For this analysis, we aim to leverage the existing body of work within the ACM Fairness, Accountability, and Transparency of AI community, which brings us new understanding about the unintended consequences of machine learning. A common perspective is that various unwanted consequences of algorithms arise in some way from biased data. In this context, the term bias refers for unintended or potentially harmful properties of data. Oftentimes, the data sampling methods may only reach a portion of the population, or the population of interest may have changed or is distinct from the population used during model training. For example, consider geographic diversity in image datasets. ImageNet is a widely used image dataset consisting of 1.2 million labeled images. 45% of which were taken in the United States, and the majority of the remaining images are from North America or Western Europe. Actually, only 1% and 2.1% of the images come from China and India, respectively. It has been shown that such representational biases lead to worse image classification performance for underrepresented countries. During the model development stages, aggregation bias arises when a one-size-fits-all model is used for groups with different conditional distributions. Inappropriate performance metrics may lead to evaluation bias, which can further lead to deployment bias, which occurs when the model outputs are used or interpreted in inappropriate ways. Beyond investigating potential bias, we propose that AI practitioners working on sustainability projects need to assess the flow of ecosystem services and services to ecosystems in the target restoration areas. There's a need to ensure open and transparent participation and a continuing dialogue between stakeholders, as well as considering how the input data could capture socio-ecological aspects of the land.
We propose that for a move towards equity through the involvement of indigenous peoples and local communities in restoration efforts, machine learning developers need to create rich interaction interfaces which lower the barriers to access, allow for people from varying backgrounds and levels of technical skills to participate, provide explanations for algorithmic outcomes, and allow for people to intervene at every step. Who's cooperating? In an interdisciplinary worldview helps us recognize the need for a multifaceted feedback loops in order to inform the discussions of how machine learning could meaningfully contribute to sustainability. That comes with many difficulties, not least of which are that there's no luxury for failure in ecosystem regeneration. The concept of personhood for natural entities like rivers and forests could provide the ability for nature to interface with other stakeholders within legal fictions. For example, the Wanganui River in New Zealand was legally recognized as a living being in 2017. In continuing this work, it is important to be mindful of the caveat of knowledge extractivism as it pertains to TEK. Collaboration at every level can ensure a mutually empowering and beneficial relationship between stakeholders. Actors need to understand their responsibility and be accountable for each other.
Building on work in policy, we aim to explore AI governance frameworks in the context of sustainability. Professor Thomas Hale at the Blavatnik School of Government, University of Oxford, has written about the concept of catalytic cooperation, catalytic effects, and ultimately the potential and benefits from catalytic institutions in the context of climate action. According to this model, increasing the number of actors involved in forest regeneration efforts lowers the costs and risks for more actors to become involved in this space until the kickstart of catalytic effect, which could lead to cooperation over time. By doing a comparative analysis of the problem structures of reducing environmental degradation and reducing the negative impacts of AI, we find that they exhibit similarities in their distributional effects, the spread of individual versus collective harms, first order versus second order impacts, and therefore we propose that it is helpful to structure and address AI governance questions through a catalytic cooperation model. In summary, we think that data scientists could benefit from an understanding of indigenous traditional ecological knowledge systems. Social and ecological aspects of sustainability are interconnected. Traditional machine learning systems might result in unintended consequences which will reinforce social injustices unless they are adequately addressed. And finally, AI governance frameworks could enable catalytic cooperation and collective action through empowering community engagement, equity, and long-term impact. With that, we want to thank you for your time and invite you to read our paper and engage with us. Thank you.
Thank you.